The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com. Welcome back to the Sports Renegades here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
I'm Ryan Risky.
It's time to talk some Bears as they get ready. They're going to be playing in less than a half hour. So the Bears will look to improve to 2-2 on the season. I mean, it's really far-fetched and hard to believe, but they stepped up last week against the Steelers, which was quite the surprise. And the defense hung in there, and of course the running game / receiving game with Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen really, was good. I was surprised.
I think a lot of people were surprised. The defense was good. Mike Glennon did what he needed to do. I mean, the game didn't need to go to overtime if Marcus Cooper would have scored.
Oh my God, that was so unbelievable. I know as I was texting you describing what happened, I was like, I'm just like, I can't believe what I'm texting. This is unbelievable. I can't believe what I just saw. Like, this is unbelievable. You go back to highlights. I think it happened to an Eagles player a few years ago. More than a few years ago, like 5 or 6 years ago.
I remember Deshaun Jackson except he dropped the ball at the 1 yard line.
Yeah, was he on the
scored.
Eagles at that time?
Yeah, he was.
Okay, so that's what
he
I'm
just
thinking.
let go of the ball too early. Except this guy just stopped.
Yeah, he just stopped.
I remember I woke up. I didn't see it. I was sleeping. I had a long night at work, and I just remember, and I was just kind of scrolling through Twitter. I saw, okay, Bears are losing.
Yeah.
Then I was just scrolling through Twitter, and then I see all these angry tweets directed at this guy. I'm like,
this Cooper guy,
who?
Some no-name guy on special teams, nobody knows. Like, oh, there he is. It was definitely.
And it's like, you think they have a touchdown, and then all of a sudden, and I remember
there's a screen right there in front of him. He could have looked up and saw the people running after him.
And the thing is, I was like, is Mark Trestman still the coach of the Bears? And I'm not kidding. And I know some people are like, is this the dumbest play you've ever seen in Bears football history? And I was thinking...
Yeah, you would have thought it was Mark Trestman in 2014.
I was thinking, actually, no, it's not. The dumbest play I can remember, this is just my opinion, I think this is worse, was...
Oh, are you talking about when they were in Denver?
No, Marion Barber running out of bounds.
Yeah. That was bad.
Yeah, that was bad. Actually, no. You're gonna remember.
They ended up making Tebow a good quarterback.
This game, it was Mark Trestman's first year. It was Week 17 against Green Bay, and there was a fumble on the field. And all the Bears players just stood and looked at it.
Oh, yeah.
And then a Green Bay guy comes out of nowhere, picks it up, runs into the end zone. No one on the Bears goes after him.
That was an awful game, just all around.
Well, if that wouldn't have happened, the Bears would have won.
Yeah, I mean, that had all the playoff implications, and they were supposed to go, and they just didn't.
See, and that's another thing right there that adds a little bit to that. That was a game they were trying to win to advance to the playoffs and win the division.
Yeah, and they just
didn't happen.
No, I mean, I felt as bad then as I did in the NFC Championship game in 2010 when they should have. I mean, I don't know if they were favored, but they had a close game with Green Bay, and then Cutler goes out after the first half, and he was injured, and it just really sucked.
Right, and
it seems like Green Bay always finds a way against us, no matter the situation.
Right, and I think that fumble that the Bears just didn't pick up, and I know a lot of people are saying after that under Lovie Smith, every time the ball was loose, they picked it up no matter what.
Right.
No matter if they thought the play was dead, and the play wasn't dead.
And it was
always just sitting there, and there was a sea of Bears players right next to it.
And there was always an implication on defense and special teams with Lovie Smith. The offense wasn't always as good as it could be, but you always knew that the other team wasn't going to score a whole lot of points. And I think that's something that we've missed with Mark Trestman and something that we're missing with John Fox.
With Mark Trestman, you were just assuming they'd give up 50 a game. That's how bad it got.
Yeah, this isn't the Canadian Football League anymore, buddy. Like, you got to get to, it was really like Arena League rules with the way they were like, is this the Chicago Rush? No.
Right. And Fox, the defense has been very good. I mean, it's been keeping them in games. That's why they won last week. That's why that they were almost beat Atlanta.
Yeah.
And obviously, they got blown out by Tampa Bay. And I mean, it's just like, I think considering the circumstance, I think that fumble against the Packers was the worst for just being a dumb play than Marcus Cooper right there. Because if that had cost them the game, does it really matter? They're trying to get another high draft pick. There might be some decent receivers available that they might need to pick.
Yeah.
Considering that their wide receivers, I think, have caught 27 passes.
Mike Glennon threw one pass to a wide receiver, and it was dropped the whole game. I forget who the target was, but whole game.
Because you said it was dropped, I'm just going to assume it was Bellamy.
Probably the king of drops the last few years, that's for sure.
Somehow he's on the roster over Tanner Gentry.
I don't get that, and I also don't get why they cut Victor Cruz. That was silly. I mean, I know he dropped a couple in the preseason, but that's preseason. The regular season's a different animal.
Targeting wide receivers.
Yeah, it was like one target.
In that game, Mike Glennon was 1 for 4.
So he only so he did target.
He was 0 for 2 targeting Marcus Wheaton, who actually will probably end up being a really good receiver for the Bears.
Yeah, it's a good pickup.
I mean, he didn't play in preseason. This is his first game of the year. And he was 1 of 2 passing for 9 yards to Deontay Thompson.
Deontay Thompson.
The kick returner.
Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. I mean, it really sucks that Cam Meredith, who is actually a pretty decent receiver, got hurt for the year. That really sucks. And it would have been nice. He's a former Illinois State guy, so I'm sure he have a lot of fans, around him, a lot of people rooting him on. So it sucks that he got hurt. And then of course Kevin White, more of the same.
Right, and when he got hurt, a lot of people really expected that Kevin White would step up in this. Yeah. I mean, really the table was set for Kevin White to prove everyone wrong, and he got injured. And in that game, Glennon was 5 for 5 targeting Howard, 4 of 4 targeting Tariq Cohen.
Yeah, I mean, those are his guys right now.
3 for 3 targeting Benny Cunningham.
Oh.
To the top 3 running backs on the depth chart, that's 12 for 12 passing.
Yeah, it's very surprising. I mean, if there's one thing Mike Glennon's good at, it's setting up a nice
12 for 12 passing for 73 yards.
It's setting up a nice little screen pass to his running backs.
I don't get why teams aren't covering the running backs now. They know the Bears receivers aren't very good and can't catch the ball.
I think we're going to see that tonight in Green Bay. I mean, Green Bay has to know what's going on. They have to know that, pretty much the Bears' whole offense right now is Tariq Cohen and Jordan Howard. And, Tampa Bay stepped up and shut Jordan Howard down.
Right, and we'll see what happens with Howard in regards to, because he's injured right now.
Yeah, he's certainly not 100%.
And also the fact now they're playing a Thursday night game after a game that he had 23 carries.
Yeah.
We'll see how many snaps he gets, because his shoulder probably is not even close to being healed from getting all those carries. And also he was 1 for 1 passing with a touchdown to Adam Shaheen. Tight end.
Yeah, that's right. The one Adam Shaheen touchdown, 1 reception, 2 yards, whatever he had. So I mean,
it was for 2 yards.
So that's probably the last we'll see of him. That's probably the last we'll see of him. Maybe he'll get a touchdown against San Francisco or Cleveland.
This year, Glennon, he's completing 63.3% of his passes. I mean, granted, they're all traveling. I think against Pittsburgh, he threw 1 pass that traveled 5 yards beyond the line of scrimmage.
Right, and let's not forget, I mean, against the defense that is, somewhat competent like Tampa Bay, I mean, he has no chance in those situations. I know Green Bay doesn't have a great defense, not at all.
Wouldn't you think he would have known the game plan for Tampa Bay, spending all those years with them?
I know. All the Tampa Bay fans and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team were probably like, see, that just reiterated our point that Jameis Winston's our guy. We don't need you. Hello. So, that was a bad game. Obviously, they're going to play worse on the road than they are at home. I think that's sort of the situation.
That was an embarrassment. And then you had all the people, Trubisky, and it's like, No.
Yeah, because Trubisky's going to get hurt. And then what are you going to do?
Why do you want Trubisky to make his first start either against the Steelers or the Packers?
Why do you want him to start against a competent defense? Yeah, if I'm going to start him, I'll start him against Cleveland. I'll start him against San Francisco. I'll start him against a team that is just as bad, if not worse, than Chicago. Because I don't want Trubisky getting hurt. I mean, that's your future right there. You don't want him getting hurt. He needs to practice. He needs to take it slow. He needs to be safe. He needs to, learn what he can.
Get experience taking snaps from directly under center and not just in the shotgun.
I mean, I don't know how much he's learning from Mike Glennon, but he's got to, learn from these guys. He's got to learn from John Fox, Kenny Loggins, all those guys. So, he has to learn how to be an NFL quarterback, and you don't just throw him in, and you certainly don't throw him in against a team like the Packers, a team like
or the Steelers
or Detroit or even Minnesota, who has a good defense. So I would not do that. I would do it at the right time or not at all this year, and I'd be okay with it.
I think he needs to get at least one this year, just because that's one start under his belt, and then he won't be coming in like a fresh rookie. So I'm just going to look at some dates for potential games he could start. This one's the most unlikely. It is the home game against the Vikings. It's on Monday night in Week 5.
No way I would start him against that defense.
I figured I'm just seeing, because I don't think Minnesota, especially if Bradford's knee doesn't get better, Minnesota's not that much better than the Bears with Case Keenum starting.
Well, I agree, but they do have a couple good wide receivers. Adam Thielen has stepped up, and
Stephon Diggs. Kyle Rudolph
receiver.
is a good tight end.
Yeah, so I mean, they're clear.
I'd say that one's the most unlikely of them.
Sure.
You're home against Carolina. I don't think they'll play him against Carolina's defense unless something really falls apart for both teams.
Yeah, that's
Week
risky.
7.
Right.
Week 8, you're at New Orleans. I mean, that's tough for a rookie, except New Orleans' defense is not good.
That would be kind of fun to see if Trubisky and Breeze had a shootout.
Yeah, except Trubisky would attempt to have the shootout, except no one would catch his passes.
Yeah. That's true.
Week 11 is home against Detroit.
Maybe Detroit falls apart at that point. I don't know.
See, I'm saying these are all probably too early. Just more of things you're looking at. Week 13, they're home against San Francisco. That's probably the best time, after they have 1 or 2 wins up to this. But they're 1-11, 2-10.
Who's San Francisco's starter? I forget. It was the guy that was in Jacksonville at one point, right? I'm not sure.
It's Brian Hoyer.
Oh, it's Brian Hoyer. It was the guy in Cleveland. Okay.
You mean the guy on the Bears?
Well, yes, he was on the Bears too and broke his arm. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Week 13. That's probably the best time to get him in there.
God, Brian Hoyer still has a job. I know nothing. I don't know anything about the 49ers the last 3 seasons. Could not
Week 14, they're at Cincinnati. I mean, it's just if he gets that Week 13 start, he's probably finishing the season out.
Yeah, I would think about it.
Week 16, you're home against Cleveland.
Woohoo!
If you only want to give him one start, that's the game.
That's definitely the game for one start.
Because it's there's only one game after that, where it's if you start him in Week 13, people will be like, well, why isn't he playing now?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, those are Week 13 and Week 16 are the most likely for, him getting a start.
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure. So we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll continue talking about the Bears as they get set with their matchup in Green Bay. I wonder how many Bears fans made the trip. It's usually, a good amount of Bears fans there. We'll see after a win last week how many show up for the short week. You're listening to the Sports Renegades, SportsTownChicago.com. The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.